welcome to the Higher View podcast, the podcast dedicated to the creative, the outside thinker, and the believer who are seeking community and healthy views on worldly topics. If this is your first time to the show, we welcome you. This is my permanent co-host, Alexus.
Since day one.
This is my wife, Alexus. I'm Jonathan. This is Alexus, and we are co-ed on this podcast. So if this is your first time, we welcome you. We just want to invite you in. We hope that this is a safe space where you can feel comfortable, chill, relax, and just have us in your ears. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, hello. Welcome. Well, how is your week?
My week? Well,
how's your week been?
I feel like it's been great.
Let me start over.
Yeah.
How have you been since the last time we've been on the show?
One, I'm really excited to be here, back on this show.
Feels like a little bit.
I would tell you there was a little bit of, what's the word? Like, not tension, but,
nervousness?
Not nervousness. Maybe I did feel a little bit of that.
Anxious?
Today. No. Those aren't the words I'm looking for. Just like, I wasn't feeling like fully pumped when we were about to come here just because I'm a little tired.
Motivation.
I've been like pretty tired these past few days. And so I was just up. And now that I'm here, I'm just like, let's go. Like I can feel the pumpness. I can feel the excitement. I'm excited. But it's been really good. I'm really thankful that we took that break. We just took like a week off from podcast. And when the day came up for us to record, we just weren't feeling anything, stirring up. We weren't feeling really any motivation. We weren't really feeling anything stirring up that week. Usually that's how we will go about our episodes. Like something stirring up, we'll talk about it throughout the week. We're like, This is what I've been going through. It's really cool how it develops and then we come on here. And so that week we were just like, you know what? Let's just take a break. And we made a funny reel, if you want to go look at it. It's pretty funny. It's on our Instagram page. But
very true as well.
But anytime we feel like that, we're just gonna start making reels just so we can still post something out there, connect with you guys, make you guys laugh. But I've been doing pretty good. How about you?
I've been pretty good as well.
Yeah,
I think we have both been going through, I don't know, just a close season, a season of we're always continuing to grow, but it's just a season of steadiness.
That's good.
And I think we've been taking some good steps in a good direction. Like financially wise, like we've been paying off a lot of debt, which has been great. We've been paying off other things. Now we own all of the podcast stuff, so it's just been a good. We've taken some good steps, and it feels good to get that weight off your shoulders. So that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, I like that you said steadiness.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a really good. That's a good word to describe our season that we're in, steadiness. And then for me personally is finding order and having routines and having habits that I stick to. I know that's not something that just happens overnight. And so you have to have grace of yourself when you try to start new habits or even keep habits. For people that are like very free spirited all over the place. Like you can't be like that in every aspect of your life. I think there needs to be order. We need order in our life. We need that. So
I think you do.
That's a season where I'm learning to like find order and move in that. And I'm really thankful for that.
It helps. It helps organize things.
Yeah.
But today, after that long introduction, I hope you guys like our introductions. But we're talking about an interesting topic that came to us. Like we said, we kind of just let these things come to us, and whatever we feel stirring up within that week, we talk about it. We kind of just build off of the idea. And this week, I don't know how we got into this conversation. Do you? It was at the restaurant, Papacitos.
But there's been seeds being planted since then.
Okay. Well, me and Alexis, we were in conversation of, what was the topic? I don't remember. It was something that you've kind of been going through.
Maybe something like, I don't fully remember. Is it what we're talking about today?
Yeah. But like, how did we get to that topic?
I think it's just getting so wrapped up in the things that you want to change and you're not fully changing it. Like you find yourself still in that same cycle. If it's like mental thinking, if it's your perspective, if it's a habit that you have, It's just like staying in that cycle and you want to change it.
I remember now. Okay. So we were talking about how you kind of double think everything, or almost like insecure about some things that you say or stuff like that.
That was you.
Was it me?
That's your thing.
Well,
it's okay. We're one, so it's fine.
I remember we got into conversation about this because of something that we were talking about, like on your side. I mean, I just remember us talking about something about you, and then it makes sense to like both of us at the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
But we were kind of talking about like, I'm so sick and tired of this. Like I'm just done. Like there's been so many times where I'm just like, I'm done doing this, and I'm gonna change it. And I remember saying like, well, the thing is like, you can say over and over that you're gonna want to change it, or you want to change it, you want to stop doing this, you want to stop doing this. But the question really is, do you hate it enough to change it? And that's the question of today. That's the question of this episode. Do you hate it enough? Do you hate it enough to change that thinking habit that just gets you spiraling? Do you hate it enough to stop being insecure in situations where you just feel it in your spirit to speak up? Or maybe like you let people run over you and you're so tired of it deep down inside, but you don't hate it enough to change it.
I would literally grew up with my parents telling me, do not say hate. Like anytime we would say like, we hate this, or like, don't say that. Like you strongly dislike.
Yeah,
like,
I think I was
say
told
hate.
that too. Yeah. But, what if we were able to turn the word hate or the action of hate and manipulate it into our favor? Because I think hate inspires change. Hate inspires change in any aspect. When somebody, for example, somebody hates somebody, we'll talk political. Republican and Democrats, they don't like each other. They strongly dislike each other. One would say hate. I wouldn't go that far. I don't really get mixed into that. But some could say they hate each other, or maybe another party could say they hate the other party,
or like what they believe in.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And that causes people to act completely different from who they normally are in like everyday life.
Ooh.
What?
Ooh. It causes division.
Causes division. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it causes division.
I like that.
Yeah.
We're like connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just want to throw an encouragement out there. If there's something that constantly bothers you, there's something that you constantly kind of go through, like having double-mindedness, or thinking when you speak, you're just you after you're done speaking, you go back and you're like, well, did I even make sense, or did I sound stupid? Like, what can I do different next time? I encourage you to hate it more. Hate that about yourself more. Is that the right thing to say? Just hate it more. Hate that thing more. And if you hate it enough, then it will inspire you. It will force you to get that out of your life. It'll force you to change it into something else. If you want to do better at that, it'll force you to be better at it.
I think what we were talking about the restaurant was like what I was going through that day or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up just like talking to myself. Oh wait, no, that was dinner last night. We were supposed to record last night.
Yeah, that's right.
So we had another day to simmer on this topic, but we were eating dinner last night. A banging meal by Chef Lex.
Of course.
It was delicious. We need to make a recipe book. I definitely will one day. I got you guys. But I remember at the dinner table, I was just telling Jonathan, I was just telling him like what I was going through that day. Like I ended up just having a moment, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I talked about this before. Like I remember one episode, I looked in the mirror and I was like, enough is enough. Like you need to go give this job 100%. Like, come on, just like kind of motivating myself to get out of the funk I was in. And I don't remember. I really wish I would remember what I was going through that day. But I remember just walking back and forth and just telling myself like, all right, like as I reflect on what I'm saying right now and just like what I've been going through, really, I would say these past few weeks, is tiredness, like has really been trying to pull me down. And I think tiredness can come from many different things, but all we can do is just start like figuring out, is it a habit? Is it what I'm putting in my body or not putting in my body? Is it to a point where we need to get our blood checked and just figure out what am I lacking? Like it could be really anything. So, I would say like I'm hating that enough to want to change it, because I think we can all go through like tiredness and stuff, but I know like we have to like learn our bodies and everything and like what causes us to be tired at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or why is it so hard to get up from bed? So it's really just digging deep into yourself, and what can we put in, like, do we need to drink more water? Like, just look at your habits, look at your daily habits, what you're filling yourself with, start taking things away and start adding good things and see what works. And so I think I've been lacking a little bit in that area. So I would say that's one thing in my life where I'm like, I'm done being tired. I'm done letting this like drag me down. And I like to be up. I like to go and have motivation. I don't want to be tired anymore.
We all hate those things. You know, I'm saying hate. We all hate those things that kind of slow us down in life. Like
Yeah.
we have things that we feel like, if I didn't have this, like maybe I'd be so and so. Yeah, maybe I'd be here. Maybe I'd be there. Maybe I'd be doing this. If I wasn't so insecure, or if I wasn't so introverted, maybe I would be successful. Whatever, you know, like those things. You know, and that's kind of like what we're trying to pinpoint. Like maybe let's not make an excuse. How about we just actually focus on that area? And I know it's kind of a harsh word to say, but to hate it. Hate is an intense passion or dislike. So if we dislike something that is maybe that we've learned growing up, if we dislike it so much, then that's going to be the inspired change. You know, that's going to inspire us to be completely changed, or to change that thing about us. And personally, I think one of those things for me was definitely insecurity in being an introvert. Like I wouldn't talk to anybody. I had no desire to talk to anybody. But as I got older, I got around people and I saw that's really what life is about, is talking to people. It's about communicating with people. It's about having relationships with people. In order to have relationships, you have to have communication, obviously. But yeah, I had to dislike that about myself so much that it forced me to change, and it forced me to literally change the chemistry in my body to actually liking talking now. And now I'm on a podcast. So how about that?
That's awesome.
But that's just like an example, you know? And it can be in any area. Maybe you talk too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to stop talking, but you can hate that so much about yourself where you could just mellow out.
Yeah. I like that you said, you know, growing up. When I look at the things that I would want to change. Growing up and stuff in school, it was always about what people thought about me. And I think that carried into my adulthood, is what people think about me.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's
what it was. Light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's kind of something that you've walked through for a little bit. And that's what I was asking, you know, like, do you hate it enough? Like, do you hate having that thought enough to get rid of it? Because if you don't hate it enough, it's just going to keep slipping by.
It's a big thing. Yeah. It really is. Like, it's one of those thorns in your flesh. You're like, God, like. But speaking about all of this, it was on my heart just to say, these things, yes, it's kind of negative to look at, but we don't have to make it negative.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have to make this negative. Like, honestly, these things can bring you closer to God because you're not depending on your own strength. So like when I'm walking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to feel tired anymore. It's really like, God, like I'm just at your feet right now. Like, can you just give me supernatural energy? Like, it's causing me to come to him, and he's giving me wisdom and knowledge. And it's like, well, I can, but like, what did you feed yourself today? Have you had anything for your body to be energized? Like, what are you doing to your body? Like, let's go. So these things can cause you to get closer to your creator.
Yeah. Also, like that too, but on the other side, when you start changing yourself for the better, you also get a deeper understanding of yourself, and that would take you unmeasurable places that you could never imagine, because you're not the same person. You're not the same person that you grew up to be. And I think that is a huge part as well, like knowing your footing in life, like knowing who you are personally, like having an understanding of your brain, what really inspires you, what you really are into, like the things that get you going, stuff like that. It's a very important thing. And honestly, I know this is kind of off topic, but I think people getting so involved with a relationship with God to begin with, or maybe they're off their parents' faith only, and they don't have their own faith to experience, and they they don't have that one genuine encounter on their own. They get kind of lost, and that's really all they know, which sometimes leaves people a little bit awkward. Like you mean, like the term weird Christian. Yeah, I mean, some people have had bad experiences with Christian because of that reason, because people didn't even know themselves to be talking about who created them in the first place.
It's so good, babe. That is like all that what you said, like that is really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's showing me that it goes with what you're saying about people that might be going off of their parents' faith or, don't know everything you just said, right? So I'm just like, where am I going with this? Excuse me.
You're good.
Because it was like coming to me as you were speaking. I was like, wow, like I was like connecting these thoughts in my brain. But people, it's almost like they pay attention to everybody else, which is good. We're here to love God who created us, and we're here to love people that we're here to love. But if you don't know your identity, and your identity gets lost in this world, and your worth is in people and what they say about you, or what your parents or anybody in your life that say about you, your worth and identity is in that, you're not gonna know who you truly are. So I love that you highlighted, you get to know yourself more when you start, like, I love this one vision I heard where it's just like removing the web. Start removing that web off of you, because when we're coming into this world, we're not coming into this world perfect with a great mind, with a great just life. It's like, yeah, we're coming into this world pure, but there's a road ahead that we have to walk into, and we're walking into not a pure world. We're walking into a broken and painful world, but we get to find joy walking in this world. That's what it's so beautiful of saying the name Jesus and being able to say his name. It's so powerful. And another thing that goes on this topic of hating it enough is not for me. Like, I want to hate it enough to not allow myself to dwell in I don't like to say the word depression, but that's a true feeling you can feel sometimes. It's a feeling that we feel. Sadness, it's a feeling we feel. And I think it's okay to allow yourself to feel those things. I don't think it's okay to ignore them and be like, I don't want to feel this anymore. Like, blah, blah. It's kind of like you have to dissect it, acknowledge it, allow yourself, set a timer if you need to. I'm going to allow myself to be sad and cry for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to get myself up.
20 minutes.
That's a long time, right?
Long time.
Maybe you need it. I don't know. But I really, really want to walk in the fullness of the joy. I want to walk in the fullness of what God has for me in my life, the fullness of knowing my true identity in him. And I think where it comes from, like caring too much about what other people think or worried about what people think about you, that's a lack of my identity. That's a lack of my worth. If I really fully knew my true identity and worth and the one that created me to be, that would not be there. I'm not saying we might not be tempted with those thoughts. I think we're all tempted with comparison. We're all tempted with things. That's temptations, but there's always a way out of those temptations. We don't have to allow ourselves to dwell in that.
I've heard stories, Chris Crone, Chris Crone. I've heard stories like his story. He was working like in a W-2 job, barely making enough money to get by. There was one time, it was a constant struggle, month after month, year after year. He came home to his wife crying, and she, he was asking like, "Why are you crying? Like, what's wrong?" All this stuff, and she was just upset because she just did their budget. She went over all the money. She realized that they're not gonna have enough money to buy groceries this month, and that just broke him. That was the moment where he was done. Like he hated it enough at that point, seeing his wife broken, seeing all of the things like struggling and trying to make it by, and it's not working with his job. Like he hated it enough, and now he broke out of that cycle. He changed something up. Now he's a billionaire in real estate because he went out and he hated it enough.
Yeah,
he hated it enough to change it. And those things that we can struggle with, whether it be personally or financially, anything in that nature, if we aren't to handle it in private it would definitely be handled out in the open, which we all know that's the worst way to get it exposed by. Nobody wants to get that happen to them.
Yeah.
So that, we should be dissecting these things. We should be going into deep intellect with ourselves, with our personal relationships with God, or just even just examining ourselves, or even relationship wise. And we should be, what do I need to change? What do I need to hate enough to get out of my life?
I would really say, for somebody that's listening to this and does not know where to start and it's almost overwhelming, maybe you're getting fed too much from the world. Maybe you're on social media way too much and you just need to stop getting filled by the world just for a little bit. Do it temporary.
Start hating social media.
Well,
like if that's, you know what I'm saying? If that's something that's overtaking you, if it's overfeeding you, if it's something that you just find yourself always on it, like no matter what you do, lunch, during work, get home, you're on social media, hate it enough to stay away from it.
Like find a different habit.
Yeah.
Hate it and replace it. Hate it and replace it. I like that. That's good though, because you're hating enough what is taking up your time and your mental space. Because social media can be a good thing. It depends on what you're following. Are you learning? You can follow things that give you creativity, can make you laugh. Like it can be a good thing. I definitely believe that. But I think if you're not having your heart checks, if you're not having these moments to be able to dissect and to jump to this next level of yourself and what God has for your life, like there is a priority problem that just needs to get fixed, because you're going to see the fruits, you're going to see the growth within you if you take these steps. I think anything can be too much. If you're going to needing always a drink with you, like coffee, tea, always needing something, and that's what your mind's thinking about, that's an issue. We shouldn't have to rely on all these things, earthy, pleasurable things all the time. Not saying it's bad. I just think that there needs to be a good balance, because if that's taking up the space of you needing to find quiet time and you need something with you during that quiet time, then whatever. But what I was trying to say, for somebody that's really overwhelmed, anyways, I'm journaling, but for somebody that's really overwhelmed and not knowing where to start, I would just say that, and maybe start journaling. Just start simple. Start journaling your thoughts. It's a safe space for you and only you. Get yourself a dang journal. You can order on Amazon for really, really cheap.
Get a dang journal.
Start writing your thoughts. Start thinking for this day. Start writing how you're feeling in that moment. It doesn't even have to make sense. It really doesn't. Just start writing. And I think that's a really good place to start getting your thoughts on paper.
I don't really have a passion to write anymore, honestly. I don't know. I find quiet time in other ways now these days, but I don't know. Haven't picked up the pen in a while, so
it can be a seasonal thing.
Yeah, could be a seasonal thing.
I used to do it every day, and now I'm journaling on my own, maybe once a week. I think it's a seasonal thing whenever you feel like it, but I know every time I do it, I feel much better.
Yeah. But also, speaking about hate, obviously the way that we're speaking about hate is in a positive way to manipulate it in our favor. But just to give another example of how hate actually changes things, the negative hate, there was also, I'm sure most of you are aware, there was another shooting at school in Nashville, Tennessee. I think 3 students, 3 adults died, and it was a Christian school. And I don't really know the details. I just kind of saw a headline, but I know it was a transgender girl walked into the school and, killed some people. But that just shows you right there. Hate will make you do crazy things. It can be bad or it can be good. We're talking about making this into a manipulative way where you can hate it so much where it actually turns into good. But that's just the rabbit trail right there. Hate changes things. If we hate it enough, if we can hate it enough, if we choose to hate it enough, then we can inspire the change. Then we can make the change. We can do the crazy thing that we never thought would be possible. And it would, change things.
That right there. That right there. That's the real.
That's the real.
That's the real for the Instagram.
That's the real? You like that one?
It is. I feel like it really highlights what we're talking about. And that really hurts my heart that happened. And honestly, when those pop up, like I'll read into it, but this one I just didn't. But it hurts my heart that happened. I think it would hurt anybody's heart to hear, a shooting that happens like that. Like I wish that person heard this podcast and would understand that whatever you hate that much, like hate it enough to want to change it to good.
Yeah.
Change that desire to want to do something like that into good, as in like go get help, go get these thoughts towards somebody, let somebody talk you through on that decision, maybe just not want to make decisions like that. You can feel that, like, it's not a good feeling. Like, I don't understand that feeling, why somebody would want to do that, but those aren't good feelings inside of you.
Well, we live in a spiritual world with spiritual attacks, so it's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a conscious decision. I'm sure there was other factors at play.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
we don't have to get all up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other
the spiritual
podcast.
realm. What? Whole episode about that? What?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really loud.
That would be an interesting one.
Yeah, that would. We have lots of things to talk about that.
Yeah, we could definitely go in on that one.
What else is something that... let's look at our season that we're in right now. What is something that you want to manipulate hate to turn into your favor in this season?
I would say like fluid communication. And what I mean by that, like sometimes if I'm talking to somebody important, okay, let's just say that somebody important, whether it be work or, just out in the street, if I know they're important, if I know they have like some authority in their lives, it kind of gives me a little bit of a nervous feeling. Not to say that I mess up my words, but I know like right now I can talk fluidly without a problem. So I want to be able to talk like that and be comfortable enough to not have that come up. I don't want to have that shaky feeling.
Would you say that that's not fully grasping your full identity?
Possibly. Yeah. I think there is, I mean, I'm 24.
Yeah.
I don't have it all figured out.
That's real.
Not at all. I mean, I'm still figuring life out like we always will be, but I think there is some things that I still need to figure out about myself. There's still some things that I'm always going to be learning about myself. But that is just another way for, God to show me himself in my life. Yeah, like in that way of learning communication.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, God is mysterious. He works in mysterious ways, and it's just how he's working through mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one thing, and that's something that I would have to hate enough to absolutely change, and to act on that, to make sure I do the crazy thing to change it. I have no idea at that point. That's something that I'm walking through for sure.
And I wonder where the balance is to like have grace over yourself when those things come. Because they might still come. They're gonna have to come for you to change it. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like looking at it from that perspective, knowing, okay, this might come up. Mm-hmm. It's something I'm walking through. If it comes up, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I'm just going to decide right then and there, okay, here it is. What do I need to do to change this in this moment?
I wouldn't really say that there is any type of balance, because I think you should always be gracious to yourself. I mean, if you're walking through it, you acknowledge it, and you are working towards, doing better on it, working on getting it out of your life and having it to where you want to be. Be gracious. Like it's going to be a work in progress.
I feel like you're really good at that. You're good at just like walking around all chilling and like, oh man, I messed up. Oh, fine. I'm over here like, don't do this again, Lex. Like, oh my gosh, we're back at this place. Come on, man. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's like, come on. Like, oh, a friend told me this and this really helped me. And I really think it's going to help you guys. It helped you when I told you. You're like, bro, yes, that's so good.
What was it?
One about our bodies, that they're not our enemies. They're on the same team as us. So it's like when we're feeling tired, when we're feeling pain, our body's trying to tell us something. When we're feeling overwhelmed, our body's trying to tell us something. Give yourself that retreat moment. Take a moment.
Yeah.
Walk to the bathroom, breathe, realign yourself and go back out. Realign yourself, and go back out. That's all I gotta do. No, but the one thing she said was, if your friend or somebody you really cared about was like down or sad or messed up, are you gonna be like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, come on, get it together. She's like, you're not gonna talk to somebody you care about like that, so why talk to yourself like that?
Exactly.
You gotta love yourself to the point in that area just as much as you love other people and care about other people. And that really touched me, because I do care about people so deeply, but it's like I need to care about myself deeply too. I need to be able to look in myself in the mirror and think just as good as I look at somebody else that's beautiful and, you know, important in my eyes. I should look at that about myself.
You should.
I think that's a healthy self-love.
Also because you are beautiful. You are. Well, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. Good talk.
Yeah,
Good
man.
talk, man. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it to the end of this episode, you already know. We will see you guys next week. We are going to be continuing next week. And just to keep you updated, this is episode 31.
31.
It's 31. And we have 19.
Yeah.
19 episodes left until this season ends.
Yes.
We will be taking a break, and then we're going to be starting up and rebuilding everything. And I think you guys are going to really, really like what we're going to be turning into.
Yeah.
So we love you. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for waiting this week with us. We hope you guys have a blessed week. We are praying for you. Until then, see things from a higher view, and peace out.